Hello, crafty friend. It's Justine. Now I'm going to share with you a fun card that I made using this little trio here. It is a beautiful blossoming branch with apples and apple blossoms. There's a better press plate, and that is what we're going to start with today. But this is just your friendly reminder that you can press these plates or you can glimmer them. Now this card, I really had fun using the stencils. So that is the most exciting part about this for me, but also doing a fun fold, trying to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and try something a little bit different. So if that's something you're interested in, I hope that you stick around and watch me mess up the card multiple times, but make something pretty, subjectively speaking at least, at the end. So I'm starting with my Better Press. I have it all ready to go. I'm using Better Press cardstock for this, and also using Better Press black ink. So it's a permanent ink. It will dry nicely with the carton cardstock. This is the big black ink pad, so it covers this large image pretty fast. And I do love the versatility of these plates. For example, this one, my vision for this apple blossom would be to do either a double glimmer or a double press. I think that would be so fun because there is a coordinating die for this. So I don't often show my better pressing on camera, but there's my Platinum Daddy, the big guy. It's 8.5 inches wide. You can see why I don't put it on camera often. It's pretty large and in charge. But there you go. I've pressed it out. Ta-da! This would be a great one for a 5x7 sized card or an A6. Is it A6 or A7? Now I can't remember, but anyway, the Google will tell you. And you can do like a double blossom, so it looks like some trees are blossoming. Now here are two little scraps. These two I pulled out of my scrap bin with Better Press paper. Oftentimes I'll be crafting and I'll have some scraps. So these two are for my sentiments, and I like a heavy sentiment card, so I'm going to use 2 sentiments. And I did just realize that my second one down here is a little bit low, so I'll just shimmy it down with my nails and hope for the best. Remember to use your grid like I am here, trying to keep it somewhat straight, but I am going to die cut it out, so if it turns out crooked or wonky, it doesn't matter. I'm going to press those off camera with my platinum. And then we'll be ready to die cut the sentiments out. And with the die cuts, they are, I don't know, some people call it bubble cutting, but they're all bubble cut out for the sentiments, for the bigger ones. And I think that's such a nice touch for sentiments. It really gives a professional look to the card. And then the sentiment that says "you are awesome to the core" will be die cut out with a rectangle die. Shout out to LDRS Creative and Melanie, my good Better Press babe in craft, not crime, but she brought this into my life. This is the LDRS Creative Extreme Clean, and it is perfect for cleaning my press plates. Look at that. Boom. Goodbye, ink. See you never again until I'm ready to craft. But it just keeps my supplies looking nice and orderly and clean, ready for my next project. So if you are interested in this cleaner, I'm going to do a little plug for my good friend Melanie because she's the bomb. And I really love LDRS Creative too. They've been so good to both of us and a great small business to support. And with how things are nowadays, it's always good to support a small business. So you can do that by using the code Melanie15 when you shop ldrscreative.com. You can just go to ldrscreative.com and use Melanie15 and you can get 15% off. It would make my heart happy to know that you used Melanie's code. Plus it saves a little bit on your crafty budget, which is always a good thing, right? All right. I'm going to die cut these out. My apple comes off my panel just a little bit, but that's a-okay. So I have my stamp wheel. This is the original stamp wheel. You can see I have my stamp wheel out a lot on my desk, and it's well loved and it's stained, and that's just fine with me because I'm using it for the craft. Now these stencils were very, very easy to use. I actually just tried another company's stencils and I found them so confusing. And then so when I tried these, I was pleasantly surprised with how easy they are to use. Per usual, Altenew comes in number one for packaging and for their help for using their products. Look at this. A whole guide of what colors to use, how to use the stencils. Every time I open a new package from Altenew, one of their products, I'm just very impressed. So we're going to go ahead and line up my apples. Doesn't really matter how because it will get moved, and it looks like I changed my mind and pulled out my stamp wheel 2.0. Not sure what that was about, but I probably had a good reason at the time. Oh, yes, it's because I needed to move these stencils around. So some of these stencils are half stencils. So there is a little twisty line on there, and I learned that from reading the product guide. So next what I'm going to do here is take out some of my blending brushes. I've been kind of growing my stash of blending brushes as I have becoming a little more excited about stencils. I think that they're a really cool tool to use, and it can put a lot of color down on a project very quickly. So these happen to be the Altenew mini brushes, which are really nice. I do like them. I do have a ton of different brands of brushes. I do think these are nice and firm, which makes it easier to ink blend with. Usually when the brush hairs are longer, it's just a little less easy to use. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I like how the white little hairs on the brush are short for the Altenew brushes. So that's lovely. I do have some angled brushes from Altenew that I haven't used yet, but you never know. Maybe one day I will pull them out. Sometimes you just have to get brave and use things in your craft room. I think sometimes I try to save things for just the right day, and then that day never comes. So I should just pull them out. Let's be real. All right. Apple blossoms in my craft room are going to be hot pink. So I'm taking Piggyback, which looks neon on the ink pad, but it's a very, very soft pink. And just putting that all over my apple first, and then covering some of the leaves. No, some of the petals on the flowers. Then I'm going to take Prom Queen, which is a hot pink, and just lightly go from the center of the flowers and just kind of fade that color up. I've learned so much from Melanie in the last, I don't know, however long. It's been a long time. I feel like I've known her my whole life, but I've learned so much from her watching her stencil on her channel. So the whole time I was making this card, I was thinking, okay, be light. Don't be heavy-handed with the ink. Gentle. Do it like Melanie does. So I was trying to pretend that Melanie was next to me, telling me, be gentle. Don't go too crazy and cover up everything. So hopefully I did her well. I did her proud. I know I did send her a picture of this card when I was finished, and she said she liked it. So I think it was Melanie approved, which made me happy. All right, I'm going to do the same thing to these petals as well, just so they match since they're on the same flower. And then for my apple, I did not have a light tail, peach, tan, whatever you want to call it. But I do have a dirty brush. And by dirty, I mean it just has ink on it. I don't wash my brushes. And look at the result of not washing your brush. I now had a perfect brown, beige, neutral tone for my apple core. Isn't that funny how life works out sometimes? It just happens that way. So we're going to go ahead and finish up the flowers with that last stencil. I made the two buds nice and pink. I figured they would be darker if they were a closed bud. Then this is going to be the last part of the stems and then the seeds of the apple as well. I figured the stems would be green, and then the stems would be that dark brown. We're almost done with my piece here. Now I need to do the part that was making me the most intimidated was the apple. And I tried to remember from back in the day, my art teacher talked to me about light and direction of light. And I really tried to remember. So I tried to make the apple have a shiny spot on it. And when that happens, you want to make sure that the light is coming from one spot. So we need a little highlight area. So I took my ink here. For whatever reason, my hand seems to be covering most of what I'm doing. But I'm just going around the edge of the apple, really gently building the color. And I'm just going to leave it as such, whatever. I'm leaving it be because the more I touch it, the worse it's going to be and it will get too dark. And I don't want it to be too dark. Now, Altenew does have really great relief paste. They are the shimmer relief paste, but I do not have a shimmer relief paste in gold yet. I will one day. Right now, I'm going to use my lunar paste, and that was the Slippery When Wet from Simon Hurley. And that's going to be the center of my flowers, just to give a little extra texture and loveliness to these flowers. Set that off to the side so it can dry. Just takes a little bit of time to dry. And I better clean that stamp wheel 2.0 because she's looking flawless. Now back to better pressing. I have this Altenew Essential Textures wood press plate. This one I've had for a while. Melanie has influenced me to get this one. And I love it. So thank you, friend, for helping me. But I'm going to start with a neutral cardstock. So it will be this tan. And then I'm going to press it out with some brown Better Press ink. You might be wondering, when is the fun fold of it all coming into effect? Don't worry, it's coming still. It's going to be a Z fold. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made a Z fold. This was my first Z fold, and you can definitely tell by how I assemble it. And my measurements are a little wonky, but that's okay. So I'm going to take some rustic ink and just smush it all around and cover up my plate. This press plate looks super good when it is foiled, and I think it's really cool with some brown ink on some paper as well. Now the cardstock I'm using is a regular cardstock that is 100 pound. So it's not that thick cotton cardstock. So it's not going to give a very, very deep impression because it isn't a thick paper to begin with, but it still will be a very cool result. Clearly I need to re-ink that ink pad. Goodness, I feel like I just gave myself carpal tunnel there. Okay. I'm totally kidding. All right, run that through my platinum and ta-da, I have wood. Now that would look cool as it is, but I'm feeling extra. As you know, maybe it's spring fever. We all know I have that at this point of the school year. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my paper Z-fold planning. Now I did not want to cut my apple blossom image in half. So that's going to be the piece that is hanging off of the main fold. So at this point, I just need to see, is everything lining up? Yes, it is. Honestly, that would be a really pretty card. Pop the sentiments on there. Boom, you're good to go. But like I said, I'm feeling extra. So I'm going to cut this panel down. So what I'm going to do is tell you the dimensions that my finished card ends up being, because I feel like that would be more helpful than me telling you dimensions now and then later when I change them and then later when I change them again. So my two front panels that are wood on my card are, let's see, my ruler's in the shade there. Okay, it is 1 inch, 1 3/4 inch by, going on the side, by 5 1/4. So 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 for those 2 wood panels. That's what those end up being. And then the brown panels that open up my card, they end up being 2 inches each. So my card is going to end up being a tiny bit smaller than a regular A2 card base, but that is okay. And you're going to see all of the chopping and the chopping again and the re-gluing and the Frankenstein-ness of it all, but that's okay because on the finished card, it looks like a fun Z-fold. And unless you're giving this to somebody who is a card maker and knows in their hands what a A2 size card feels like, no one will know if your card base is a tiny bit smaller than an A2. Let's see. My finished card ends up being just a hair under 4 inches by 5.5. So it's a little bit tall and skinny for an A2, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to get my panels ready here. And you can see I have a little bit of extra overlap, and that's kind of where my first mistake happens. But that's fine. Like I said, I'm just going to go for it. That's the best kind of crafting anyway. And I think that little joy and love of crafting is kind of sparked from that. So here is a half sheet of paper, and I'm going to score that in half. And then I'm going to end up scoring it. I'll tell you on my finished project because I feel like that's more helpful. At the 4-inch mark. So my project would be 8.5 inches wide if I were to open up the whole card. 8.5 by 5.5 would be my card panel. So then I would make the first fold, which would be the mountain under the apples at 2 inches. And then at 2 inches, which would be 4 inches in the middle of the card. And then that would cover up my middle. So you can see there's the Z shape. So I have one panel on the right and one on the left. Then you can see there's a little extra brown on the sides, and that is what was bothering my eye when I was making this card. It just looked off. So I trim a little here, trim a little there, glue a little here, and then all of a sudden my card gets a little bit skinnier. My card went on a diet. But it's fine. The card ends up turning out super cute anyway. If you really want to know all those measurements, you could certainly pause the video and see. But like I said, those are going to be changing. If it's helpful, I can put my measurements in the description of this video. I'll write myself a note right now, and then you can use that. But if you just look up online, what is a A2 Z fold measurements, you're going to find them there as well. And I will put the standard measurements in the description too, so you are able to see that as well. Now my apples, like I said, the apples in the branch are going to be hanging off, and that will be kind of like the fun element of my card. So I want it to be nice and sturdy and firm. So I die cut that out with better press paper for my actual piece. And then I die cut out just a piece of very thick 120-pound cardstock paper on there. And I'm just adding an extra layer right on top. That will give it nice structure so it can be opened and reopened multiple times. I'll just chop off the little extra areas and we'll be all set. Oh, that's looking cute. That will go right about there. So when the card's closed, it looks like it just has a brown line behind it. But then when you open it, it has a little fun surprise there. So I'm going to use a little bit of low tack craft tape and tape where I want everything to go just to envision it. And then I will glue after, because as you can see here, I've made multiple mistakes. And usually once glue dries, you can't really do much after. But I have heard about this low tack foam tape that does not get firm until like 30 minutes after you use it. So I think I need some of that in my life now because I do make quite a few mistakes, and I am an impulsive crafter. So sometimes when I craft, I make a mistake and I just rip something off or try it again, and paper rips, etc., whatever. But I think that would help. Now I do want a little area inside my card for a message for the recipient. So I'm going to take a piece of white scrap paper. Shout out to my adorable husband. He sorted all of my scraps from my miscellaneous scrap bin. Thank you, honey. So now I have all my white all in one spot. Super helpful. Now, if you stumbled upon this video and you have no idea what the Better Press Babes is, let me tell you. It is a lovely group that Melanie Smith and I created together, and we do live events once a month. Every other month it's on my channel. Every other month it's on her channel. So we have really fun giveaways. We have quite a fun Facebook page community. So be sure to check out the Better Press Babes on Facebook. And if you have not subscribed to Melanie's channel, you're going to want to, because she makes fabulous cards. She inspires me every single time I watch her videos. And you're going to want to do that. Plus, then you won't miss any of the live events that the babes have. Now, I had to make an extra score line here, so I pulled out my old bone folder. There we go. Little makeshift fold. Like I said, a lot of mistakes are happening, but it's going to end up being just fine. Let's see. This video is going up on the 17th. Now, I'm going to have like a 4-day marathon on my channel of Altenew videos. We have Babes Night Out on the 16th, which was last night. Today is Apple Blossom. Saturday, that would be Saturday. The 18th is the Sweet Jasmine, which is going to be super sweet, simple, stunning glimmer cards. Say that 5 times fast. And then on the 19th, we're ending it with a bang. The card I am very, very excited about. I absolutely love it. And it is called Crafting Through Your Mistakes, which is so on brand for me. I went on a journey. You're going to come on the journey with me if you watch that video. It is, I hope inspiring to watch someone make so many mistakes and end up with something really cool at the end. And just kind of like this video, I leave a lot of those mistakes in because paper crafting is not something that you're immediately good at right away. You have to practice, you have to make mistakes, and that's how you learn and grow. And let's learn and grow together. So be sure to join the Better Press Babes on Facebook and also join the Stationery Maker Group. I have a pretty big community over on Facebook where people share their products, and I'd love to see your projects and your cards. Maybe you're a scrapbooker, a card maker, whatever it is. I want to see what you're making. Let's share your art. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, crafty friend.